Welcome back. I'm Dylan Cheersby and I'm drawing shots from the movie Heat, from the bank robbery gunfight scene, and got a tricky one today. This is going to be a wide shot of the bank, and I'm kind of actually setting myself up for two frames here where we just see some people walking in front of camera, a couple of people moving around. So what I have to do is draw a background that will be sort of the plate, like a template, and then there are three figures that I will draw in the foreground that will slightly move between the A frame and the B frame. So yeah, just a bit of a longer one today, but it should be interesting. There's a bit going on in this frame, so yeah, settle in, relax, and yeah, maybe you can do some drawing with me as I work my way through this. I'm going to start off with a rough sketch because yeah, there's a lot going on in this and I want to get some positioning stuff working. So sort of just blocking in major shapes initially. I want to get these pillars working in the background. Getting quite familiar with this bank, having, you know, kind of drawing it from every angle as I work through this scene. As you would have seen from the reference, there is a ton going on here, but I'm going to do what I can to try to abbreviate it. You know, always trying to just remember what are we actually trying to convey here. We're just trying to convey, look, it's a busy bank. There's people walking around, going about their business as usual, unaware of what is about to happen. And so, you know, as a storyboard artist, I'm trying to tell the story. I'm not trying to just draw everything perfectly for no reason. Okay, that's our pillars roughly. Bit of perspective going on here. I'm not someone who uses vanishing points and tries to do it perfectly like that. I just eyeball it. I kind of enjoy the challenge of just trying to do it by feel and by eye. And so that's what I'm going to do here. That guard that I drew in a previous video, he's still in this sort of doorway on the left here, writing something on a clipboard. Made me wonder about that. I'm guessing in reality a security guard in a bank probably would never just stand there writing on a clipboard, not paying attention to what's going on in the bank. Yeah, but they need him to be looking down for a moment for the story to work. My experience in filmmaking is that, you know, making the story fun and interesting is far more of a priority than trying to make anything make sense in a realism way. All right, just trying to follow what's going on here perspective-wise. Got all these desks. I'm sort of joining all the desks in a perspective line here so that they feel like they are all sitting in the same world. And yeah, this is a long time to be spending on the rough, but it's a tricky frame. I really don't want to get lost in the details, so I'm going to force myself to stick to major shapes. Got the security guard there. We've got a woman walking here. She's going to be obscured in the A frame by a foreground guy, but she is revealed in the second frame. Something like that. I have to admit, I almost don't even know where to begin with everything else. There's so much going on. I think I should just be done with the rough part of it, and just get into the actual drawing. The Tom Sizemore character is actually visible in the background here, but he's kind of like nestled between these two people. He's not very evident. You know, if this was an actual storyboard for planning the film, you wouldn't obscure him like this, but I want to match the actual final shots here. Okay. I think that'll do for the rough. Just fade back my crosshairs a bit here. Okay. Let's get into the actual drawing. I don't know where to begin, so I'm going to start with this lady. Okay, got a lot of stuff to draw, so I'm not trying to keep this kind of brief. Okay, I really don't want to go into any more detail than that for now. Just use blacks down here. Alright, that's that lady. Maybe focusing on story stuff, the next important thing would be obviously to draw our... I've forgotten the character's name, I should really look it up, but our Tom Sizemore character here in the background. But I mean, he's very far away, so it's just overall shapes that I'm gonna work in. That's him. Okay, and then we've got another extra here. I'm going to push him a bit to the right just so he's not awkwardly clashing with the main character as much. trying to use blacks as much as possible to suggest stuff rather than draw it in detail. Okay, it's that guy. Let's get our security guard in. He's a key player here. Just writing something on that clipboard, forgetting to watch what's going on in the bank. For my next video, there will be a nice close-up of Robert De Niro. It's a slightly sort of weird close-up because he's a little bit obscured and he's about to put on his mask, but at least we get to start getting into our main characters soon, and obviously the scene's going to ramp up and become a lot more fun soon as the action and chaos start to kick in. Okay, so there's going to be foreground people, but for now I need to draw a bit of a template background, and so I'm going to get into these desks here, trying to keep it real simple. Well, as simple as I can. Okay, there's a chair here. Alrighty. Doesn't really matter what I draw right here because I think we're going to have a foreground figure obscuring it, but I think I just need to hint at, I don't know, a computer monitor or something. Something like that. Looks like an old-timey printer sitting on this part of the table over here. One of the most interesting aspects of drawing is the ability to just sort of hint at stuff without drawing it in detail. It's a tricky thing to learn and improve at. Okay. Now I've got the corner of another desk here. all these desks have this little kind of return sticking out the front. So you can see I'm just using my initial rough one single line as my perspective guide here. Doesn't need to be perfect, just needs to not look busted, not look wrong. And I've got another chair right here. And computer monitor and stuff, all this kind of stuff here. Is this another chair here? It does look like it. So we've got another chair just kind of sitting right here. A woman sitting at this desk here. It's kind of funny when you look at these scenes and you sort of see all these people and they're so busy. They're so busy, no one's ever just kind of looking around to check what's going on. Everyone's so head down. I mean, we need that. They need that for the story here, but it's funny. I think in reality, some people would just be kind of looking around, probably just checking out what's going on in the room. Maybe wondering what these guys carrying all this stuff under their coats and are and kind of just standing around are about to do. Okay. It's really confusing back here. There's just basically desks and people everywhere. I have to figure out how to hint at that without getting lost in it. A lot of that is going to come down to the use of blacks, but I'm not quite ready to get into that yet. Stuff all over the desks and computer monitors, and yeah. I wonder how much of this was just on location using what they had there and how much of it was dressed. There. I actually can't remember if I've ever watched a good making of doco about Heat, or if they even made one, if they had anyone shooting the video during the shoot. It'd be cool if they did. All right, I'm really going to try get into abbreviating now. There's no way I want to get stuck drawing every computer monitor and every person back here. I just want to hint at that being the scene. Sometimes you see things in these references that look like they don't even make sense. Like there's a woman sitting back here, but her upper body looks weirdly too big for her. Too long. Alright, she's leaning over to put a briefcase on the ground. I'll try and capture that. Right. Another woman standing back here. Okay. And then it just sort of devolves. There's just so many people that I can just hint at people sitting on chairs. Okay, slowly getting to the point, I think at this stage, so that I don't draw more details than I need to, that I should sketch in some of the background architecture. Okay, some pillars and things. I don't want to get too caught up in the weeds with all this stuff, so just gonna try to keep it loose and quick and expressive. All right, it's starting to come together a bit now. I think the next most important thing is going to be just getting in there with some blacks. Blacks are cool because they, you know, the viewer's eye will just fill in details in dark areas, and so when you're trying to just hint at a lot of detail without actually drawing every bit of it, clever use of black is definitely your ally. Plus we've got all these desk fronts and everything that are quite dark. Black for our purpose, for storyboarding purpose. So just fill those in. Sorry I'm not talking all that much on this video. It's because it's this particular frame, or these two frames really, that I'm building up here. They're kind of just a bit of a grind, you know, just a bunch of stuff to draw and hint at. And a lot of it's very instinctual for me. It's not something I'm thinking a lot about as I draw. I'm just what I would call mark making. I'm just kind of making marks, seeing what reads, what works, and yeah. So there's not a lot of kind of clear craft for me to talk about as I do this. These particular frames. Now, I need to hint at a bunch of stuff on the desks here, papers and books, but really just hint at it I'm not going to try to draw each object. I'm just going to say, all right, here's sort of a book, here's a folder, here's whatever. Desk planner, Rolodex. I don't even know what a Rolodex is. It's like, what is it, like an address book or something? Very 80s. I'm going to try just use blacks here to sort of hint at people. This is where, you know, my experience learning to paint watercolor landscapes and cityscapes, I feel like it comes in a little bit helpful, because I can just sort of use silhouette and darks to sort of hint at stuff that I'm not really fleshing out. It's looking pretty good. It's looking a little less populated than the actual reference, but I think for the, you know, well, certainly for the purpose of a storyboard, this is enough. I can keep sort of popping in vague hints of people. Okay, that's actually going pretty good. I think I can turn off my rough now. So there we've got like a nice template, you know, a plate, a background. Put a bit more darks in some of these pillars. That's a bit messy, sorry, I didn't like that. Still don't like it. There we go, it's a bit better. Okay, might use a little bit of black around this side as well, just to frame the image. And then this doesn't actually exist in the reference, but I like to use a little bit of lines to just sell the perspective on a floor. Okay, cool. That gives us, I think this walking lady can have a bit more black in her skirt. Just raise her skirt up a bit there as well. Okay, cool. That looks like a decent background. Probably gone too far with it, but I started enjoying it in the end. Okay, so now I need to look at what my foreground people are going to be. Actually, maybe I should tone this quickly. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to tone it so that we've got it all set, ready to go. So I'm trying to simplify the lighting here. Let's just start with light in the middle and then get a little darker to the sides to frame our sort of, I don't know what our focal point is here. It's more just scene setting really, isn't it? Oh, now there is some buildings and stuff in the background. I don't want to spend much time on that, but I guess I should hint at them. I mean, it is part of the scene, so some distant building stuff. Just need to hint at some windows. Not trying to like match this too well. I'm just literally trying to sell, all right, here's some sort of heritage style buildings. That's okay. A couple couple little hints of more buildings over here. And just to push those back, I'm going to blur them slightly. Not too much because it's not really a super long lensy shot, but blur them slightly and knock back their opacity a little. And I don't know if they need any toning, but I'm sort of having fun, so maybe I'll whack in a little bit of toning on them. Just hints. Okay, that's our background buildings. Crack on with the toning here. I think I want to just sell some dark reflection vibe on the desks here. So mostly just using vertical kind of strokes for that. And fill in a couple of our extras here just to push them back. We've got our actual main character at the very back here, but you can barely see him. Doesn't really count in this shot. This woman, and we've got our security guard. His pants should be quite dark. Okay, cool. It's all coming together. Got some reflections and stuff in this wall here, which I wouldn't mind trying to just capture. Okay, getting a little lost in stuff here, but that's all right. I'm having fun. This is practice, it's not work. Okay, cool. I think that sells all that. Now, I'm going to bring up my reference of the people that I need walking through this frame. I guess I'm going to draw the B part of the frame. I don't think I need to make a video of the A part. It's yeah, it's just not interesting enough. So let's see, I need a bit more ground tone under the desk area here. Just a bit like such. Kind of does it, I think. Cool. So I'm going to group the background. I'm going to fade the whole background back like that, and then I'm going to draw in my two foreground characters. So we've got this, bring my crosshairs back in just to get my sizing right, but we've got this one guy here. At least for once it's someone not in a suit. This guy's wearing kind of a, I think he's wearing kind of a jumper and with a shirt under it. So no roughs here, just getting straight into drawing him. He's got to try to sell his pose a bit better. Like the actual reference pose isn't great. It's hard to tell which foot's forward and which one's back, so I need to fix that up in the actual drawing. I've just drawn this arm a bit too big. That's easily fixed. So the only thing with drawing digitally is that you do get used to being able to resize stuff, and I probably don't worry as much as I should about getting sizing perfect, because I know I can just grab it and resize if I need to. But whatever. I also draw and paint on traditional media, and obviously I can't do it there, so I think I feel okay about it as long as I can do both. Right, to sell that this left leg is going forward, I can cast the whole thing in shadow underneath. That'll help sort of give the feeling that it's projecting forward. Okay, just trying to do what I can with blacks here to reduce the amount of actual toning and whatever that's going to be required to finish him off. Okay, I think that about does it for that guy. And then we've got one other guy, like a businessman on the right here. His coat kind of goes about here. He's sort of leaning over at this desk. Carrying some sort of file. He's like, hey, you want me to start a business? You want to invest in my thing? I don't know how banking works. Okay. All right, I'm pretty happy with the rough kind of abbreviation of his face there. I've sort of done it again, made his head a bit small. Let's just make that a little bigger. mean, a smaller head is always better when drawing than drawing a head that's too big, but sometimes it can end up being a bit too small. Kind of struggling, the reference is actually a bit dark, so I'm struggling to see his, struggling to fully see his pose clearly. So I'm just gonna fix up what feels right on in my drawing. And really want to push him back. You know, I don't want to draw the eye to him. It's not about making him the focal point. So I'm going to partly silhouette him to help make that clear. This is not someone that we need to have our eye on. Okay. Well, with that, I think that about does it. I'm not gonna sort of make this video even longer by getting into like the A-frame. The A-frame is just this guy towards the middle of the frame crossing camera. And the guy on the right is just kind of like in a slightly different pose. So I'll do that separately to the video. It's not that interesting. I think the interesting thing here was just drawing this kind of detailed wide of the bank. You know, shots like this, when you look at them before you actually draw them, you think, oh, this looks like difficult. It's going to be tricky. And I kind of enjoy the challenge of trying to find ways to abbreviate stuff and do it quickly. So that's why I decided to record this one. Next up, we're going to have a close-up of Robert De Niro, just about to put on his mask. And so that one should be fun. I'll try to get that recorded either later today or tomorrow, and yeah, get it also uploaded pretty soon. I'd like to keep 1 or 2 of these coming per week. I'm going to group these two guys, then we can turn our background back on and bring up its opacity. Now that I do that, I can see there's a couple little things I'd like to tweak here. This guy could actually be even darker. Oops, just isolate him. Could actually be even kind of darker, but with a hint of highlight on the right. I think that works. Darken his pants just a little more even. And then this guy on the right, he's actually getting maybe a little too lost in all those blacks. So actually no, it's okay. I mean, you really can't see his outlines, but I might just grab like a gray or something and just slightly delineate his front side. There we go. Just needed like a little line, something there to delineate the shape of his body a bit, and I might just sort of paint over this file just to help it pop slightly more. And his nose looks like it needs a bit of filling in. And let's give him a little highlight. Now I'm just having fun because it's always nice when you've done all the hard work and you can just kind of play around a bit at the end. highlight on that file there. And yeah, cool. I think that's about, just bring it up, but I think that's about it for this one. As usual, I will probably play with it a little, I imagine. There might be some little tweaks I do before I completely finalize it. But yeah, I think one thing I would like to pop in is just this little, just a kind of little continuity thing. Continuity is not my strong point, and it doesn't really matter too much in storyboards, but just this little sign up here, little exit sign I think it is. I'd like to keep that in these shots. There we go. All right, like I say, I'll probably fiddle with this a bit, but I think that about does it. I hope that was entertaining, or at least kind of relaxing to sit in on as I worked this out and sketched it. Put a bit of white color on this guy. Yeah. Thanks for watching this one, and like I said, our next one should be a nice little sort of close-up of Robert De Niro, so tune in for that one. Cheers.